Flosstube. It is Lacey, the Sleepy Stitcher here. It is mid-July and I'm going to film a mid-year WIP parade. I know a lot of people watch WIP parades that don't necessarily watch regular Flosstubes, so if that's the case and this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. My name is Lacey. I go by the Sleepy Stitcher here on YouTube and on Instagram. And I started filming Flosstubes back in the fall of 2024, so it hasn't been quite a year yet. And 2025, beginning of the year WIP parade was my first WIP parade. So this is kind of an update, just a mid-year update to see what's been added. It's a lot. Yes, this year, I know a lot of people are whipping down. I am absolutely whipping up, and I will slow down soon. I really, really will, but it's not that time for me quite yet. So I'm primarily a full coverage stitcher. That's mostly what I do, but I do have a few non-full coverage things sprinkled in there. So that is mostly what you're gonna see here today. Side note, if you watched my last Flosstube and you're here wondering if I'm going to announce the winner of the giveaway for this pattern here, the Stitches So Beautiful Challenge pattern, I'm not going to do that here. That's going to be chosen and announced in my next regularly scheduled Flosstube, which will be like 3-ish days from now, later on in this week. So if you haven't entered yet, I am doing a giveaway for this challenge pattern from Stitches So Beautiful. This is the June challenge, and all you need to do is watch my last Flosstube video. I think it's Flosstube 20, and then just leave a comment with the keyword, and I'll be picking the winner for that here in just a couple of days. So if you're interested in that, watch my next Flosstube video, and I will have the winner in there. But I'm just going to get started right into all of my whips. Sorry if you can hear the thunder. It is a thunderstormy day here in Tennessee, which we tend to have a lot of, it seems. The weather's very similar to Alabama, which is where I'm from, so I'm not super surprised. That's just how it is in the summer. I counted my whips, and I have 14, which if you're around Flosstube, that's not that many. 14 is really not a lot. For me, it's a ton. I'm a recovering monogamous stitcher. I was a monogamous stitcher for a couple of years. And then I was like a 2-project max stitcher, and now I have 14. So I'm gonna get started, and the way we're gonna do this is I'm gonna show you my oldest whip and then my newest whip, and then we're gonna keep going until we kind of meet in the middle. That way you're not stuck with all of the teeny tiny progress in the beginning or at the end, and we just have a nice little mixture. If this was featured in my beginning of the year WIP parade, I will show you a side-by-side. I'll show you the progress and the comparison photo. And if not, then you'll just see what I've got now. So we're gonna start with my oldest project. This is the Mountain Cabin. This is artwork by Dominic Davidson, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this when I have all my notes right here, so when you see me looking over, there's a lot of notes for this. I started this in June of 2023, which I didn't even realize because I haven't looked at these notes in a while. But yeah, this one is almost at its two-year anniversary. It was put away for a long time because I didn't stitch, but anyways, this one, I was in my last WIP parade, so I'll pop up a photo of where it was. And then we'll look at where we are now. Here we are. So this project is stitched 1/1 on 25 count with DMC. It has 41,516 stitches total, and it's at 11%, 11.05. So this one has the most progress of all of my projects. Of course, it's my oldest. This is the project that got me into full coverage, and I've been in it ever since. In it. Okay, love that. All right, and then my next project is my newest WIP. So this is going to be the Mini Magic Grotto. This is artwork by Amy Stewart, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It was not featured in my last WIP parade because it is my newest start. I started this one this month, and I will just pop it up here and show you. It's actually a restart because Okay, so this one is stitched 1/1 tent stitch on 32 count with CXC, and I attempted to do it 2/1 tent because I don't love the coverage of 1/1 tent on 32 because I'm picky like that, but it was just too much, so I came back down to the 1/1, and you know, from where you guys are looking at it, the coverage isn't too bad. This one has 1,100 stitches and it's at 1.5%. See, I always do this. I think I don't like a project. It's too much white is showing. It looks like a blur. There's not enough detail, whatever the case may be. And then I show it on camera, and when I'm holding it back here, I'm like, that actually doesn't look bad. I should do that more often. I should pay more attention. All right. So then my next WIP is Quick Stitch, the Patchwork Quilt Room. This one is artwork by Ciro Marchetti, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. The reason I chose this as my second full coverage is because I thought I was going to have one full-size Haid and then a quick stitch going, and that would be all for me for full coverages, and then maybe I would do, you know, small projects. And as you will see, that didn't last long. I started this in September 2024, just a few months after really getting back into stitching and starting Flosstube and all the things. And so here's where it was, the beginning of this year. And here's where it is now. This one is stitched 1/1 on 25 count with DMC. It has 17,284 stitches and it's at 10.88%. I love this project. Isn't it pretty, the colors? This is a gorgeous project. I would say it's one of my favorites, but if I start saying it's one of my favorites, then you're going to hear that about almost all of my projects, and you're going to be like, does she actually have favorites? And then maybe it's not even that I have favorites, I just have anti-favorites. I have like 2 maybe that I don't love stitching on. Maybe just 1, I don't know. And then everything else I just love. So my next newest project is Treasure Hunt Bookshelf. This is also artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This one, it's newer. I just started it also this month, the beginning of this month. And I am stitching it 1/1 tent stitch on 40 count Verdal. I know a lot of you saw that in my Flosstube and you're like, she is crazy. Why is she stitching it on 40 count? Again, 1/1 tent on 32 count is not thick enough coverage for me. And Sarah, Stitching Mommy, was stitching 1/1 on 40 count. So I'm like, okay, if she can do it, I can give it a try. And so I have, and so far I really like it. This is the teeny tiny little progress I have on this one. This is actually 2,086 stitches, and it's 0.74%. And so far I haven't used magnifiers or anything. I just have to have my really good light, and I just have to look really close and pay attention to what I'm doing. And so far it's going fine. And I love it. And now here's the obligatory, I need to pull this one back out. I don't know why I don't stitch on it more, that we hear all through the WIP parades, because we love our things. And when you have 14 WIPs, nothing gets as much attention as it deserves. But there's only one of me, so I can only do what I can do. All right, my next project is going to be this Monopoly board project. This one should have been, let's see, I started it October 2024. So yes, this would have been in my previous WIP parade. So I'm going to pop up a picture of that. This one is stitched 2/1 on an 18 count with DMC. And yes, it was started in October. So here's where it is now. Hopefully you're seeing a comparison. I won't have a stitch count for you on this one. I'm going to try to show you the whole thing. Yeah, here we go. You can see the whole thing. Oh, sorry about that, guys. My husband just called me, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again. He's at work, and we're just getting things settled from our move. So there's a lot of us calling each other to ask a lot of questions. here we are now. I was showing you my Monopoly pattern, so this is the whole thing. And I don't have a stitch count because it's the paper pattern and I don't count my stitches. If Pattern Keeper does not count my stitches for me, my stitches do not get counted. All right, up next, this is Home of the Free. This is a pattern by Shannon Christine Designs, and I just love all of her stuff. Everything she does is gorgeous and I love it, and I would probably stitch it if I had the time. So this one is a stitch along with Dawn Marie, DM's Crafty Vortex, and Leanne, Small Town Stitches. Dawn Marie has finished hers already because she's amazing and she's fast, and I was just in shock. That's awesome. So if you want to see her finished one, go to her channel, DM's Crafty Vortex. She just posted a Flosstube and you can see the finished project there. And we are all doing it on different fabrics, so hers is a little different than mine. I'm gonna hold it up here. This is what we've got. This is all I've got. I'm stitching this one. So this one was started in May of this year, and it's stitched 2 over 2 on 28 count country French mocha linen with DMC. I've put in 953 stitches and it's at 15.98%. It's got like the least amount of stitches of all my projects and probably the highest percentage. It's not the highest percentage, but it's close. It's like the second highest. You gotta love those small victories. So that's one of the things I like about having a few smaller projects spread in there, is you just see that percentage rise up and you feel like you're making more progress, even if it's less stitches, and it feels good. It feels good. All right, next up, this is Winter Bonfire Night. This is artwork by Laura Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This one was started, I don't know why, I just looked at my notes because I know I started this one on my birthday. This was a birthday start. And yeah, so I started this one in March of this year. And here is this one. I love this one. I'm actually stitching on this one right now. I have a couple of days probably left that I'm gonna stitch on it. And then, so I will show it in my next Flosstube too, and it'll have more progress on it then. But it's being stitched 1 over 1 on 25 count with CXC. It's got 3,863 stitches right now, and it's at 1.1%. And I just love it so much. I really, really do. I love working on this one. I'm always excited to work on it. I can't wait to get into all the cool colors that are going to be in it, because right now I'm in all of the blues and greens. But you can see by the artwork, I'll pop it up again. When you're working on this one, you're going to be working in like a lot of the same shades, but then they're going to switch. As you switch pages, the shades that you're working on are going to switch. So I'm going to get to stitch a lot of different colors. All right, we are moving along here. Next up is Hogwarts. This is a free pattern by Dark X Stitch that I started in November of 2024. So that means it was in my last WIP parade. Here's a picture of where it was. If I remember correctly, this is when I was trying to stitch in the diagonals and I was loving it, and then I started getting lines and it made me very sad. So I don't do that anymore, but I'm not going to restart my project because it takes a lot for me to restart a project because a lot of work goes into it, and that's just discouraging and I don't want to do it. So here is the comparison. This is where we are now. This one's being stitched 1 over 1 on 25 count with CXC. It has 13,723 stitches and it's at 6.03%. This was my, I don't want to quote wrong, this was my first project done with CXC and my first project that I started on gridded fabric. And I very much love both, and I've continued using both. So again, this is a free pattern. You can get it from Dark X Stitch's Facebook group. No, my notes tried to go away. Alrighty, so next up is Farm Stand. This one, I'm trying not to say this is one of my favorites, but like it's one of my favorites. So it's really, really one of my favorites, like top 3 for sure. This is artwork by Donna Gelsinger, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I am doing a cropped version, so I'm going to show you both. This is the original, this is my crop. And I just started this one March of this year, so that you won't see a before picture. So this is where I am. This one is 1/1 on 25 count with CXC. It has 5,742 stitches, and it's at 1.85%. So you'll notice most of my projects are on 25 count with CXC because that's what I stitch on now. The random little things I have going on are really just me trying to find a way to do tent stitch so that I can get more progress, because as you can see, my projects keep growing and I'm getting less and less progress on each project, and that makes me sad, but I don't want to stop starting things because I have many more patterns that I love very much and I want to start. So I want to work on all the things, but I also want to get a lot of progress, and that is the predicament I'm in. So I'm trying to find my sweet spot for tent stitch. It is not 1/1 32 count. It is not 2/1 on 32 count. 40 count is good, but it is hard on the eyes. It's a little more work. So my next attempt is going to be 2/1 on 28 count. So we'll see how that goes. But my next project for you was started in November of 2024. This is the Pokemon Color Spectrum wheel. This is what it looks like when it's finished. And this was in my last WIP parade. So here's where it was then. I'm stitching at 1/1 on 18 count with CXC. And it has 6,387 stitches, and it's at 3.39%. I tend to work on this less than some of my other projects. It's not fully full coverage, and it's on an 18 count 8/0, which isn't my favorite fabric. So maybe that's why, I don't know. It does feel different. There's something that feels different about stitching a non-full coverage piece than a full coverage piece. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know what it is. If you do both, you know. And most of the time I'm just craving that full coverage stitchy feeling. So that's what I work on most of the time. But I do love this project. I love all my projects. I really do. Okay. I'm going to scroll down on my notes. And we are getting closer to the end here. I think we've got 4 left. Okay. So next up, this is Magic Forest Lights. This was a reward pattern from Stitches So Beautiful in January if you completed their challenge. And their challenge is just, it's on their Facebook group. You stitch on one of their patterns every single week. You put in at least 250 stitches per week and you post your progress, and then you get a free chart. And you'll know what the chart is before you enter the challenge, so you don't have to do it if it's a chart that you're not interested in. This was started in April of 2025. This was a birthday start along for Dawn Marie, DM's Crafty Vortex. So she's also doing this, and then Leanne Small Town Stitches is working on it as well. So I don't have a before picture. This is just where I am now. This one is also 1/1 tent on 32 count. This one and my Mini Magic Grotto are just cut off the same piece of fabric. So I am going to finish them on this fabric just because I have it and I don't like to waste it. But again, the coverage looks fine on camera. It's just when I'm up close stitching it, it's not as good. It's 32 count tent with CXC, 1,846 stitches, and I'm at 1.15%. Yay. All right, next up, this one doesn't have a before picture or an exact start date, because I usually write down my start dates on my full coverages because I know I'm going to be stitching them for years and I want to remember. And I know this one will be done in way less time than that, so I didn't write down an exact start date. But this is Mercy and Grace. I'm in love with this pattern. This is by Sweet Wings Studio. And I started it sometime this spring. I don't know. So here we go. This one, oops, I'm losing it here. There we go. This one is stitched 2/2 on Lavender Mist fabric from Fiberlicious. It's a 32 count, and it has 1,884 stitches, and it's at 59%, so over halfway. This one I'm actually using, I know a lot of people on Flosstube right now are doing a strand a day project where you just pull out one strand of thread a day and you put it in that project. And it really is helping me get some progress in on this without sitting down and just working on it. And it's nice to just, I feel like I'm not doing much on it, but then to see it after a week or two, it really is growing. So that's exciting. Yeah, so this one, I mean, I would think it's going to be finished this year. I've stopped saying when I'm going to finish things because I have these plans and I'm like, oh, I'm going to finish it then. And then I start 5 more projects and forget that one exists and it doesn't happen. I also have a wheel now, so I'm spinning the wheel and the wheel is keeping me accountable. It has every single project that I either am currently stitching or have the supplies to start on it. I spin it and whatever comes up is what I stitch on. Whether it's for 1 day or for half a day or for 4 days, it gets touched. And that way I'm at least touching everything, and everything may not be getting the same amount of time, the same amount of love, the same amount of stitches, but everything is getting touched. Nothing is getting fully abandoned, and I am relieved of my guilt. All right, my next project, this is Building Dreams. This is artwork by Kevin Daniel. It is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And this one is very special to me. I started this one in February of this year. I'm stitching it for my dad, and he had gotten diagnosed last year with congestive heart failure after he had a heart attack, and he was waiting for a heart transplant. And I bought it planning to start it for him, and I decided to wait until he got his new heart. So the day he got called to go get his new heart, I started stitching on it. And it was like a week-long process because the heart ended up being bad, and then they found another one, and then, you know, the surgery was like a whole day. And so for a few days throughout that whole process, I started and stitched on this. So I don't have a before picture for you, but this is where I am now. This one stitched 1/1 on 25 count with CXC, as are most of my full coverages. It has 6,536 stitches, and it's at 2.51%. So I do love this one. I'm getting kind of close to a page finish. I think I have like 2 more little, or 1.5 little rows here of 10 by 10 squares, and then this one will be at its first page finish. I really would love to get all, here I go setting goals again after I said I wasn't going to, but I really would by the end of the year like to get all of my current WIPs to at least have their first page finished, because I have like 4 or 5 that don't have their first page finished. I made myself get every project to 1% that wasn't before I started my last couple of projects I started. So now I'm thinking maybe I make myself get that first page finished, and then I'll really be feeling good about myself. And then I can start more things. All right, so the last one that I have to show you, this is A True Love. This is artwork by Eder Jose Rosa, and it's charted by Stitches So Beautiful. It's fitting. The last project was for my dad. This one is for my mom. And I chose this one for my mom because I saw it. I knew I had to. When I was growing up, we had lots of cats and kittens, and I would have like a boy and a girl cat, and then they would have 6 kittens. And then I was supposed to give them all away, but I would convince my parents to let me keep one, and then there would be more kittens. And they mostly lived outside, but we would bring the babies and the mom inside and watch her raise them and help raise them, and it was amazing. Anyway, I loved that so much as a kid, and I saw this and I was like, oh, if my mom saw this artwork, it would absolutely make her think of me and my childhood, so I had to stitch it for her. This one was started January 2025, so in my end of the year WIP parade, this was in my plans. It was unstarted, but I was getting ready to start it in just a couple of days, and I was barely hanging on. I almost started it early, but I didn't. Okay, you guys, sorry about that. I let my laptop die that time. I'm telling you, I should really plan things better. I always do everything spur of the moment, but it's just me with these little kids here most of the day, and when I have time to do something, I have to jump and do it. Okay, so this is where I am on A True Love by Eder Jose Rosa. And this one is 1/1 on 25 count with CXC. It's at 10,950 stitches and 7.11%. This makes me happy. I feel like I'm getting really close. I've been stitching a lot of background. This will be like the 4th page of just background, and I think I'm getting really close to at least doing some of the hair of the girl. I'm not sure, but I think I'm finally getting into some of not just background, so that's exciting. So that is it. That is 14 projects. I will pick up my, oh no. All right, here is my pile of things. See, that doesn't look as bad, right? When you show it like that, maybe it does. This is a lot of fabric. It takes a lot of fabric to do all these full coverage projects, but these are my babies right now. On my wheel, I have 2 more that I'm going to be starting because it's just time. I already have all the supplies and it's time to start them. This is Squirtle, and this is a Tilton's Craft pattern. This one is going to be for my daughter because she loves Squirtle. So whenever I spin it, I'll start it. That's the one I'm going to be doing 2/110 on 28 count to see if I like that for future projects. And if I do, I think that'll be my go-to. So fingers crossed. I need to find the sweet spot for tent stitch for me, where I love the coverage, but it still goes fast enough and it doesn't hurt my eyes. And it's just, I got to find it because I need to keep starting the things and doing the things. And then I'm going to be participating in Christmas in July, and I'm going to be stitching on Sugar Plum Village, another gorgeous Shannon Christine design, probably my favorite ever by her. I'm obsessed. So that's current plans. I also have about 5 or 6 patterns that I own that I want to start, but I don't have fabric yet. I don't have a start date. We'll see. I will reward myself eventually and let myself do all of those things. So if you stuck around to the end, thank you so much, you guys. Again, this was a very spur of the moment little WIP braid. Everything I do is spur of the moment. When I see a couple minutes in the day to do something, I jump and do it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stick around. I will be back in just a couple of days for my regularly scheduled Flosstube. I'll announce the winner of the June Sal pattern, and then just try to get back on a regular filming schedule. Happy stitching, guys.